Good day, everyone. We are now on the chapter 5 of our CBP Science lectures, which is about Introduction to Biology. Now, in your activity that I have given you as an overview of this chapter, I let you watch videos from YouTube wherein there are guide questions that you answered, and that one of the question is that you're going to describe what is biology, right? And also, you have to give the contributions and the importance of studying biology. Now, for this chapter, we're going to elaborate or discuss further what is biology. Now, if we talk about biology, it is the science of life, or simply the study of life. Its name is derived from the Greek words bios, which means life, and logos means study. Now, if we talk about life, we can associate it to the living things or the organisms. And these living things or organisms includes us, as we belong to the kingdom Animalia and other animals, the plants, and the microorganisms. So as you can see in the figure, we have, for example, butterfly, we have the mushroom, we have the worm, we have the plant, we have an embryo. So those are what we called as living things. Now, this biology, since it focuses on the living things or organism, it specifically describe the structure or study the structure, function, growth, origin, evolution, and distribution of the living organisms, wherein we can understand more about the focus or study of biology by its different branches. But let's start first to the main branches of biology. In other books, there are only two. We have zoology and botany, as I've mentioned in the chapter 1, right? But in some references, they include microbiology. Now, let's start with zoology. Zoology is the study of the animals, or it focuses on the animals. And again, it includes us, human, because we belong to the kingdom Animalia, right? And we have botany. Botany focuses on the plants, or the different species of plants. Next, the last one is we have microbiology. Microbiology focuses on the microorganisms. Microorganisms, from the word micro or small or tiny, are those organisms that they are too small that we cannot see them with our naked eyes. Examples are bacteria. So again, zoology, botany, microbiology are the major branches of biology. Now, take note that biology do have other branches aside from these major branches. So we have here other branches of biology. In your manual, these branches are elaborated or described further with their definitions. But for this, I am just going to describe them briefly. So let's start with taxonomy. Taxonomy is the science of, or it is the study of naming and classifying organisms. For example, the human or kita, we belong to, for example, there is what we call binomial nomenclature by wherein there is a level or not a domain gina-follow. So we have kingdom, so we belong to kingdom Animalia. Next, we have phylum and we have order, family, genome, species. So those are example of what is focused by taxonomy, how to name and classify an organism. So the basic naming is we have by the scientific name. So all of the organisms do have their scientific name. So mao na ang focus sa taxonomy. Next we have morphology. Morphology is simply the study of the forms of an organism. So the forms or the structure of an organisms. And next, we have anatomy. Anatomy is the study of the internal structure or the organs of an organisms. Simply, ang pinaka common nato nga ma-associate with anatomy is doing dissection. So if some of you have tried already dissecting a frog, so that is one focus of anatomy. We dissect frog because we are going to study or explore what's inside the organism. Next, we have histology. Histology is simply the study of tissues. Next, cytology or cell biology is the study of the activities, functions, and or simply focuses on all about the cell. As we are going to discuss further in the part 2 of this chapter, what is cell, what are the organelles of the cell, what are the functions of the cell. Next, we have molecular biology. Molecular biology focuses on the nature, the psychochemical organization, synthesis working, and interaction of biomolecules. Biomolecules, examples are the proteins, the lipids, the carbohydrates. So those are the molecular or the molecules or particles that focused on this branch. Next, we have physiology. So physiology is the study of the different body functions. If ang anatomy kay dito sa mga internal structure or sulod mga organs, kaning physiology unsay mga functions dito sa mga internal organs, mo na iyahang focus. Next, we have embryology. Embryology is the study of the development of an embryo. So for example, kita how we developed from a zygote, which is, take note, ang zygote mo na siya ang union of the egg cell from our mother and the sperm cell from our father, and na-fertilize mo ang nahimong zygote. And then, take note that si zygote dayon ma-develop, so mauna ang focus of the embryology. Next, we have ecology. So ecology is the study of the living organisms in its relation to other organism and to our environment or to their environment. So again, ecology is the study of the relationship of an organism to another organism and to their environment. Next, we have genetics. Genetics is the study of heredity or genes. Next, we have evolution. So if we talk about evolution, it studies about the origin of life. For example, the famous Charles Darwin theory about evolution, that we originated from monkeys. And then next, we have paleontology. Paleontology is the study of fossils or remains. Next, we have exobiology. This exobiology is the branch of scientific inquiry dealing with the possibility of life in the outer space. Next, virology is the study of virus. Bacteriology, the study of the bacteria. Mycology is the study of fungi. Fungi examples are the mushrooms, molds, yeast. Those are example of fungi. Next, entomology is the study of insects. Ichthyology is the study of fishes, mga isda. Ornithology, the study of the birds. Herpetology, the study of the reptiles. And then helminthology is the study of the worms. And there are also other branches aside from the mentioned. So daghan pa kayo ang mga other branches of biology. So in this illustration, or from the video, one of the video that I let you to watch is this map of biology, wherein the other branches of biology kay naka-explained dito. So I hope that you have watched the video. Next, let's proceed to the levels of biological organization. So since we are the focus of the biology, as we are living things, right? So living organisms follows levels of biological organization. So we are organized in terms of level. So first, we follow hierarchy or level from small to large scale. So ang pinakauna nato is we have atom. So accordingly, we started as an atom. So take note that atom is the smallest particle or unit that is uncuttable, indivisible, meaning dili na ma-divide, and invisible because we cannot see atoms. But we know that we are composed of atoms, right? Now, if ang mga atoms, they are grouped together, for example, hydrogen atom combined with oxygen atoms, they form what we called as molecule. So from atom, we became or developed into molecule. Now, if molecules group together, maggrupo na po ang mga molecules, take note the molecules, there are what we call small molecules, na atay gitawag po og micromolecules, and we also have macromolecules. Now, pag maggrupo tong mga molecules, ma-form dayon ang what we call as organelles. So these organelles are macromolecules nga nag-assemble sila, and they are known as the little organs of the cell. So sila ang mga sulod sa cell. Ang tawag sa ilaha is we have organelles or the little organs of the cells. Examples are nucleus, mitochondria, ribosomes. Those are what we call organelles. Now, if ang mga organelles, we group them as one, or grupo na to sila as isa, it can form now what we called as the cell. So take note, the cell is known as the basic unit of life. We are composed of many cells, right? Now, this concept or this term cell, we will elaborate that more in the part 2 of this chapter. Next, if cells group together, ma-form na pod ang gitawag nato og tissue. So tissues are group of similar cells. Now, if tissues group together, it can now form organ. So example of organs in our body, we have kidneys, heart, liver. So those are what we called organs. Now, if, for example nato, we have the stomach, the small intestine, large intestine, we have esophagus. Mag-uban na sila to function as one. Mo na gitawag na dayon nato og body system or organ systems. Now, take note, organ systems, we have 11. Examples, we have the reproductive system, nervous system, digestive system, and others. And again, we're going to elaborate that more in the next lectures. Now, if those systems kay nag-uban tanan, it can form now an organism. An example of an organism is kita and other animals, also mga plants and microorganisms. Now, if group of similar species na organism, for example, group of people or kita, tanan people, or for example, group of monkeys. So they have the same species. So ang tawag ato is what we called as population. So ang population is a group of organisms of the same species. Now, if group of people isa ka species, which is kita, human, and then with groups of other organisms or other animals, monkeys, na pa yung mga plants. So that is already what we call community. So community consists of different populations or different species. Now, if group of community or different community, iuban na sila, we can now form what we call as an ecosystem. So ecosystem, for example, is a forest. So in the forest, you can see different species. Take note, different species, for example, they are called as community. But if ang naggrupo kay mga, for example, isa lang ka species, so they are what we called as population. Now, ecosystem can be into different types. We refer to the climates and then the geographical area. So that is what we called as biomes. So biomes, we have examples are grasslands, tropical rainforests, savanna. So those are example of biomes. Now, if iuban nato tanan as a whole or totality of all the ecosystems and biomes, we can now have what we call the higher or the large scale of levels of biological organization is we have the biosphere. So this biosphere is the totality of all the ecosystems of the planet Earth, or it is one of the subsystems of the Earth that composes of the living or life. So again, levels of biological organization. So the smaller scale, we started as an atom, then after atom, we became molecule into organelle, and then we have the cell as the foundation or the basic unit, then group of cell, nahimong tissue, then group of tissues became organ, and organs grouped together becomes organ system or body system. Then all the body systems become or consist an organism, then organism with same species, that is population. So different population because different species, that is community, and then different community forms ecosystem. And if we refer to the climate and geographical area of an ecosystem, that those are the different biomes, and in a larger scale we have a biosphere. Now, in biology also, there are instruments that are used or important, especially if we talk about the main branch of biology, which is microbiology, that focuses on the microorganisms. So we cannot see them with our naked eyes, tama? So we have to use an apparatus or instrument. So dira na musulod ang what we called as microscopy or the microscope. And again, this instrument is not new to you because I know that some of you siguro have used microscope in their schools. But ang uban, kung dili wala ka kagamit, is that they are already aware unsay itsura sa microscope in. Now, this microscope opened up new worlds for scientists. As accordingly, in 1665, Robert Hooke used a simple microscope, and then by that simple microscope, he observed a slice of cork, and through that, he was able to discover cell. And that is why microscope has opened or has introduced us to the advancement in science, in discovering more about what surrounds us. So what microscope? It is a precision instrument and the commonly used tool in conducting biological researches and in studying objects or organisms or parts of organisms that is not visible with our naked eyes. Now, microscope has parts. So it is divided into illuminating parts, magnifying parts, and we have mechanical parts. For illuminating parts, from the word illuminate, so meaning light, it can produce light. So we have mirror, diaphragm, ocular or eyepiece, and we have objectives. And for the second parts, we have the magnifying. So for to magnify or to enlarge objects or specimen. So we have ocular lens, objective lenses, which includes the LPO or low power objective, HPO or high power objective, OIO or oil immersion objectives. And we have the mechanical parts or for support. We have the base, arm, body tube, stage clips, adjustment screws, which includes the coarse adjustment screw, fine adjustment screw, and we have the revolving nose piece. So we have here an illustration of compound microscopes, but take note, microscope have different types. So we are focusing on the simple one or the compound type, the type of microscope that is commonly used in school laboratories. So again, we have the illuminating parts. As I've said, we have the mirror or the light source. So if you're going to look at the figure, it is labeled. And then next we have the diaphragm above the light source, which regulates the amount of sunlight. So, ang diaphragm mo na siya ang mag-adjust para ang light source makakuha o maka-project or reflect og light para makita na to ang specimen. Next, we have the ocular, or it focuses light to the eye. So as you can see, there is what we call the ocular or the eyepiece. Next, we have the objectives. So ang objectives na atay tulo, so kanang above the stage clips, there are 3 objectives. Next, we have the magnifying parts. So para ma-enlarge or makita gyud nato, ma-zoom nato ang specimen or objects ng ato ang studyhan or that we are going to see or observe from the microscope. So natay ocular lens. So ang eyepiece or ocular na siya lens that dira nato ibutang ato ang we're going to focus our eye to that lens para makita nato ang object. And then we have objective lenses. Ang objectives nato na siya mga lenses to magnify. So again, consists of 3. So we have the low power, so 10 times ra niya ma-magnify. Then we have the HPO. So ang high power objectives 40 times or 43 times or 45 times so enlarge niya our objects. And then we have the oil immersion objects. So mas ma-enlarge pa niya because 100 times ang iyahang magnifying capacity. Next, we have the mechanical parts. So let's start. Again, we have the base. So the base, mo na siya ang mo-support sa tanan para ang microscope maka-stand still siya. And then we have the arm. So the arm is where we hold the microscope and also with the base for support when we are going to carry it. And then we have the bedded tube, which connects the ocular lens to the objectives. And then we have the stage. The stage is it is where it holds the slide nga naa dito nato ibutang ang specimen. And then we have the stage clips para masigurado gyud nga naka hold ang atoang specimen. And then we have the adjustment screws. So para ma-move nato ang objectives para closer or ma-focus nato ang atoang specimen. So naatay duha, coarse and the fine adjustment screws. And the last one is we have the revolving nose piece. So kani siya is a rotating disc that holds the different objectives and allows for the shifting. Kung gamito nato is the high power, so atong i-move ang revolving nose piece. Kung low power pod, ito pong i-move. So those are the parts of the compound microscopes. So again, the microscopes are divided into three parts. There are three groups: illuminating parts, those that produces light or reflects light. We have the magnifying parts, those that enables us to enlarge or see or focus the specimen that we are going to study. And we have the mechanical parts for support. So I think that is for the chapter 5, part 1, which is Introduction to Biology. And then for the next chapters, we're going to elaborate more on or focus more on the cell, as again, the cell is the basic unit of life. So I will just leave you with a quote that if you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. Thank you and God bless. So for clarifications, please message me or do not hesitate to ask me. And also please like and subscribe this video. Once again, good day everyone.